Hey there. I'm just jumping in because I just want to talk about this book. Normally, I don't talk about books, but this particular book has been living rent free in my mind, and I thought I would share a little bit my thoughts about it and, yeah, what I'm thinking about it. I don't normally do this. This is my disclaimer. This is me saying disclaimer multiple times. But to start off with, as you can see, it's by Michael Crichton. Now, for a long time, I would not have read a Michael Crichton book because, you know what, at the time, I don't know. It was maybe because it was popular fiction. I guess because I know he was the author of Jurassic Park. And it wasn't really something I was interested in at the time. But it was a few years ago, and I had read his pirate book. And when I started to read it the first time, I was a big, nah, that's not my thing. But then I eventually read it. I didn't have anything to read, so I reached out and I reached for it and I started reading it, and he got me. And then I read some other books. One was around climate change, and another one was concerning what was it? It was about a doctors. And what I noticed was that he would get this regular schmegular guy, and he would be our guide through a situation. And you can always tell that he did a lot of research. So I think I had come across this book in the library because most of the times I read his book is from the library. And I came across this book, and although I read the back of it, oh my god, did I tear off the back of this? Maybe I did, you know. And I decided, nah, this may not be for me. But then I decided, okay, it's a Michael Crichton book, so he hasn't disappointed me. He has, I wouldn't say disappointed, he hasn't turned me off of his books. You know, the Doctor book, it wasn't it, but I got it. Um, but this one, it's it made me think, and I think it kind of pushed me away from feminism and more towards equality. And let me see. Okay, what is the book about? Okay, I'm going to read the thing. An up and coming executive at the computer firm Digicom, Tom Sanders is a man whose corporate future is certain. But after a closed door meeting with his new boss, a woman who is his former lover and has been promoted to the position he expected to have, Saunders finds himself caught in a nightmarish web of deceit in which he is branded the villain. As Sanders scrambles to defend himself, he uncovers an electronic trail into the company's secret and begins to grasp that a cynical and manipulative scheme has been devised to bring him down. So, at the beginning of the book, I saw that it kind of put women in a not that great light, but it it kind of course corrected. And what I noticed was that, and it got me to thinking that in that time where they were like pushing that women were to join the workforce, da da da, that a lot of the coding had it that women could not go wrong, could not do wrong, and that we would be perpetually victims in any case. And that is why I'm pulling away from feminism and going towards equality because we are all pretty much the same. Yes, biologically there are differences, hormonally there's differences, but when put in a space where we are doing the same work, we can do the same work, there is equality. And with that equality, there is still room that there are bad characters, no matter the gender, right? So it was frustrating to see that all these men were going to go along with her getting away with something just because a woman could not have done that. And to say that she nearly like raped him, you know, and men were comfortable to say, you know what, you should have gone along with it. If this beautiful woman had pushed you towards it, I would have gone with it. And that they denigrated the man because he chose to do the right thing, to not go along with what was going on. And it was funny that the woman was willing to say these talking points that men would have said in defense of them doing sexually harassing a woman. Whereas he set me up because he he just left me hanging. So it was a setup. Why did even though he said no, he didn't mean no. And it was interesting to see a woman saying that. So that's where I was like, are we pushing towards equality? And why I also want to yap about this is because this is just like underlined how like what was popular fiction while I was growing up is now historical fiction because it shows the time and that how people were thinking for things that I take for granted now and now can look back and see that yeah, this wasn't the case. Let's see. This came out eh, back in 93. Right. So let's say he wrote it in 92 and I can see that it was like early days the early days in 1990s, right? So he wrote that in 91 and it was interesting to see how they spoke about the internet as though it was like even it wasn't even say early days. This is just when only institutions had it, to the point where they're saying, yeah, this character would not know anything about the internet. So, and it's interesting how this is what we are in now. Even though I was born in 1980 and I saw the evolution of the internet. Now in this day, it is all we know. This is our life, the internet. But to see those early days where something as simple as like a visual link up had to be done through a satellite. So that's why this book has lived rent free because I just wanted to share that. How it's a historical text as well as it shows that what we're talking about is like the power dynamic when it comes to sexual harassment, SH, and that a woman can do that. And it was kind of crazy that I call it, she was doing that and people were willing to hide that she was problematic for the basis of corporate culture and their perception of that person, that they've invested time in terms of mentoring her up. So the boss was mentoring her and was putting her in that position, but she wasn't worthy of that position. And she was constantly undermining the guy, Tom Sanders, which was an everyday guy. But he got just caught up in this web. And I have to give it to Michael Crichton because throughout the book, he was laying the groundwork for the story, but then you reach a point where it's like, this is so far gone. How are you going to right this ship? And would he even be working at this company? You know? So, but I appreciated that his lawyer was a woman, and I appreciated how they even had a female judge who was going to be the mediator. And when the villain switched up her story, I appreciated how the both women were like, for real though? To the point that they decided the villain side of the lawyers like stopped the mediation because they knew that they were losing the case. So it was an interesting book. I don't normally talk about books. See, I told you I was going to make disclaimers. But when a book just hits right, I have to talk about it. And this one did. And I appreciated at the very end, he has like an author's note basically saying that he had spoken to all these different people so you can see, and that it's not a clear he said, she said, and that he pointed out in that his author note that it's not only the two individuals that get affected, it's the whole corporation and how it can negatively impact that corporation. Because the sexual harassment happens. What happens if the person is well loved? But what happens if they are actually did it? So now they're gone. Now the institution has changed. How can the person that said yes it happened, how can they continue to work in that institution when they're the ones that caused the upheaval? There's so many questions, and that's why I love books, because it gives us an insight into something that we would not have encountered, but it opens up that thought process. And it just, in case you come across it, you can be like, oh wow, life imitates art, imitates life. And get this, the next book I reached for, which was a Robin Carr book, which is romance. And how did it happen that the female character, her boyfriend, who so happens to be her subordinate, has now gone to her boss saying that she's sexually harassed him. But he's the one that pursued her, and now he's saying that, and he now has all the evidence of their communication, which has always been like one-sided because she was the one that would have been texting him, but he was the one that was talking to her, and how he's now using that to get a monetary windfall as well as to have her fired. What are the chances that the next book I would reach for would be that? Go figure. So I have to give back these books today. So I don't know if I'm gonna have to figure out a way of borrowing that book again because it had the chances. Two books on sexual harassment. Anyway, that's it from me. I'm most likely going to speed this up so it can fit in with a particular time limit for TikTok and what's the other one? Oh, YouTube. So that's it from me. Um, until next time. Bye.